And a good evening to you. It's not the hospital room. It's not my beast chair at home. I am here in studio. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Me and Four will be back on again in the morning. Good evening to you. Happy Monday. Juju Phillips along with me. Some breaking stories today I thought were just amazing.
The one breaking story, we're happy you were here.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I was getting texts during a football game Saturday. People asking me, how's Lanny?
Yeah,
how's Lanny?
Here's the deal.
I was in Wilson, North Carolina. I'm supposed to know the difference of how you're doing during a football game.
I was really not feeding my ego with those posts, but the first one that made its way out on Friday was that I had collapsed at the ball game and had to be taken off the field. Well, first of all, I never even went to the ball game on Friday. I woke up about 10 o'clock after I dozed off to sleep, needed to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't get up. I was disoriented. I just couldn't do it. I laid there a little bit. I said, why can't I wake up? And I was watching, was it SMU playing Friday night?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Against
watching
Navy.
that. Yeah, I was watching that game. I'd fell asleep. Mm-hmm. Kim was in her room, and she was listening to the maiden ball game. And when I called her to come in there, she thought that I was calling her about the ball game because it had just ended.
Maiden and Bandies.
Yeah, that field goal, last-minute field goal.
Yeah.
And so she came in there, and I said, I need to go to the bathroom. And I said, I can't get up. What do you mean you can't get up? I said, I'm dizzy. I'm disoriented. I don't feel like I got control of my body. And I sit on the side of the bed, and I said, no, that's not going to work. Better lay me back down. Well, what do you want me to do? So you want me to take you to the emergency room? I said, I don't think I can get to the car. And she said, you want me to call an ambulance? I said, yeah, you better. I said, I don't know what's going on, but something's not right. Anything hurting you? I'm like, no, I'm tingly. And then when she took my blood pressure, it was sky high. And then when EMS got there, but I knew the guys from EMS, and it took them a few minutes because they came from the ball game. Mm-hmm. But that's why the rumor got out that I collapsed and had to be taken from the field at the ball game.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. Great care. By about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, after I made my ride up there, I felt better, but they put me in the stroke protocol, took me through all the testing, the MRIs and the CT scans and that kind of stuff. I will tell you a funny story. My wife hates it when I tell the personal funny stories, but when you get an MRI and they put in the contrasting dye so they can see things, it's through an IV. And she told me, he said, now this is warm. Said, you're going to feel it when it goes. And it was warm. And then they did their little thing, and then they got me out of the tube, and I'm laying there and I'm thinking, I done pooped my pants. I mean, that's what it felt like because of this warmness. I'm like, oh, my God, now what am I going to do?
Is that such a word, warmness?
I guess it is today. So I didn't, but I understood it all. And when they took me down to the MRI, I've always had open ones because I'm not a small fella, and that goes in a tube. And the first time when I was having the back injuries or back issues and had to have MRIs, they put me in one of those MRIs that was in the mobile truck. And when they put me in it, and started sliding me in, my shoulders was folded up because I didn't fit. And I'm like, hey, this ain't going to work. You need to back me out of here. And I always wound up having it open. But she told me that MRI, I was at Catawba, that MRI up there is the largest one in the state. And it's big. When you went in it, they even had to raise you up.
Like an igloo.
Yeah, it was. I could deal with that when they put my face mask on. I looked like I was playing football when I rolled into that thing. I could laugh about it now, but
and they took the MRI and they found nothing, right? Is that what's just in your brain?
They scanned my cat. They scanned my cat. You remember what was his name? Billy Bob from the football movie with Jon Voight.
Oh yeah,
Friday Night Lights or whatever it was. Mox, they scanned my cat. Well, they scanned my cat too. I'd never had a cat scan. But I could laugh about it now. I had great care up there. The doctors and nurses were absolutely fantastic. Even the food was good.
I figured you'd get that in there.
Food was good. They kept the Diet Pepsis flowing, and life was good there for a while.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, I got home about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Everything was good. I didn't have the typical stroke symptoms and stuff, but I have been diagnosed. They found a place in my brain with the MRI that I did have a blockage, and then a little dead area is what they call it, but it was called a pinpoint stroke, an acute stroke. I had a clot break loose somewhere, and that's where it went, and that's what caused it. And Dr. Lee, he said, and I'll be honest with you, it was small, but if that had been in a specific place in your brain stem, you'd be on a vent, depending upon the area that it hits, because it could be anywhere.
So a blood clot breaks, and this one went to your head.
Went to my heart, it would have been a heart attack.
Yeah.
Could have killed
Did
me.
they ever go to your butt? What happens? They don't go there.
Just that hot liquid did. That's all I'm going to say.
Breaking news today.
Breaking news. So they're treating me with Lipitor and Plavix something. But I've never had cholesterol issues. My blood pressure was totally normal a month ago. I think Aaron told me, Aaron Rufty, he was one of my EMT guys, and he told me that I think it got up to about 200 over 100. But I didn't have the headaches. I didn't experience the stuff that you typically see from a stroke. But that's okay. I'm fortunate and blessed, and however they want to treat me, I'm good. I'm good. At 42, I might have laid there, but at 62, I'm like, I probably need to take an ambulance ride. One final thing on the ambulance ride, just to sum all this up. We're going to Catawba, and 2 things happened. I said, this is the second time I've been in an ambulance, but the first time didn't count. He said, well, why not? What does that mean? I said, well, when I was younger and in the Boy Scouts, they had a simulated plane crash at Lake Norman for training for all the Lake Norman, Lincoln County, Catawba County EMS. And we were all laying in a field, and we had toe tags with what our injuries were. And the EMS would come around and evaluate that toe tag to decide whether you got to go to the hospital in an ambulance or whether they could take care of you there or whether you were DOA. Well, I had enough injuries that I got a ride to Lincoln County
Did you know what the tag said?
I had some internal injuries and bleeding and some broken bones.
Did you know that when you lay down on the field?
Not till they put the tag on me, and then they came by. Okay. We couldn't look at them. Then they came by and told you what you had.
All right.
And did their evaluation and workup kind of thing.
Oh, hell, you're dead. And then go on the next.
You're not getting a ride today. A ride later, but not. Yeah. So that was my second ride. And then the other thing that happened when we was going up there, he said, how's your pain? I said, I'm okay. And he said, do you want something for pain? I said, yes, I do. Because if you're going to give me anything that's going to make me feel better and kind of that euphoric feeling, I'm in. Go ahead. You can pour it over the rocks however you want to do it. I'll take it any way you want. But I'm glad everything worked out. And I appreciate all the thoughts and prayers and all the people that reached out. Overwhelming, I'll be honest with you. Very overwhelming. I appreciate it very much. I didn't mean to scare anybody. I really didn't, but I just wanted to make sure that I got what the real story was out before with social media, everything just kind of runs wild.
You got the Paul Harvey out there.
I did.
The rest of the story.
I needed to get the rest of the story. Yeah. So a lot of things happening. We've got Chuck Bittner.
Yeah, Chuck. D2 Chuck.
What time?
6:45.
6:45. We'll have Chuck on. And a couple of things that I saw happen today. I don't know if you watched or not. Thank you, Jack. Jack said I don't look too bad. Varsity Blues. Thank you, Richie. Milton said you had a case of can't get it right. Hey, Mikey.
I thought he was going to say something else.
And this is one of my stories, Richie. Steve Wilkes said peace out to Robbie Anderson. Did you see that exchange?
I saw the exchange and told him hit the road, Jack.
Much admiration right there.
Yeah.
You don't argue with your coach.
No.
Hit the room. Hit the locker room. And then to trade him today to the Cardinals. Now, I don't know what they got, but he's gone.
They got two late-round draft picks.
They just don't want him to hang around.
No, and that's what's going to happen.
Stacey, go Vols.
He wanted to get traded.
Yes, he did. And he came from the Jets because he played with Rule, right? Isn't that right? Didn't they get him from the Jets?
They got him from the Jets. He played at Temple.
With Rule.
With Rule, yes.
Okay. Yeah. That was what I was thinking. So there was no connection to the Panthers. It was a connection to Matt Rule.
So they sent him way off to Arizona, and they're not very good either. I just sent him to Green. Well, if they cared about him and respected him, they'd have sent him to Green Bay and get him a chance maybe to win a playoff game or two. But Arizona is there. Went from one bad team to the other.
Mm-hmm. Richie, I don't remember. Richie said, wasn't he going to quit this past offseason? I think there was some speculation there, and wasn't,
especially when Baker Mayfield signed.
Right, because he was tight with Sam Darnold from the Jets. That's kind of why they brought him in.
Correct.
The Panthers are still a dumpster fire.
They
just
are.
In case anybody's keeping score.
They are.
It's really bad.
They'll get a top 3 draft pick with certain top 3.
I'm really nothing against Scott Fritter. I wouldn't know him if he walked in here today, but I think they need to make some really wholesale changes.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get some experienced long-term NFL football people in there if they're going to turn that thing around.
What happens if you make somebody a general manager and vice president of operations? You go up to Buffalo and get that guy who was with the Panthers, who's now the general manager with the Buffalo Bills, and make him the new general manager and add on to the title. Make him head of football operations, one step below the owner.
Bean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He came up with the Panthers, and he went to Buffalo, and look who they've drafted, and they probably have the most talented roster in the NFL right now. One of the 2 or 3.
And did you see the hit that P.J. Walker took helmet to helmet? Even though it was face mask, it was still helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
And they made him leave, but there wasn't a penalty. How do you take somebody out because you think they have sustained a head injury, but there was no penalty?
I know. They are overreacting, and because of that head injuries to Tua, they have overreacted. Same thing with Kenny Pickett yesterday.
Yeah.
They're going to overreact because that's just the way things are. They want to treat that with the concussions.
But if there should have been a penalty because what caused it was the head-to-head. I mean, helmet-to-helmet.
So who the Panthers – have you heard of Jacob Eason, the quarterback that came in? Was he at Illinois?
Washington.
He looks like Chris Winkie.
He wasn't bad.
But he's a statue.
Yes, he's not a move around.
Do they go out and trade for a quarterback?
No.
Go get Mason Rudolph. He's a local kid.
No, go through this. No, just go through this. Don't play any more quarterbacks. Stop spending your money. Save your change. Just save your change. I want to see what Matt Corral's got before we go do that. We have too many other needs. And that's we had that little group chat going on last night, and I was talking about that.
Most of them are on offense.
Maybe they'll get a new quarterback. Why? So you can get him killed like the rest of them? You got so many needs. It's hard to even start to figure out what do you do first. What do you get first? I don't know. Let me give you some surprises yesterday. For me, Steelers over the Bucks was a surprise.
Major surprise.
I think that was over 20-18.
And the Steelers played without 4 of their 5 top defensive backs. They played with a bunch of other injuries. They lost their quarterback early in the game, first half.
The season's still young.
They were playing
without – going to be anybody left when you get to the end of the season.
They were playing without T.J. Watt, and they were left for dead after Buffalo just annihilated them last week. Mm-hmm. So it was more of a redemption yesterday for the Steelers, and they forced Tom Brady to throw the ball. He looked like yesterday was the first time that I've witnessed. Of course, that's the most I've watched him play in a long time, that he looked 45. He looked 45 going on 50.
He's got too many off-the-field issues going on. That's why it's starting to show.
Well, and the fact, too, and I read somewhere that they put this out on social media. He didn't practice Wednesday. Mm-hmm. He did something Thursday, left practice early, and then flew up to and missed the walkthroughs Friday and Saturday because he went to Robert Kraft's wedding up in New England or wherever it was at. Mm-hmm. And then he flew in his own private plane to the game. Didn't go with the team, and there he is.
But he made the team meeting on Saturday night, from what I heard today.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, I did hear that.
That was the one thing that he made. But then they're getting their heads handed to him on the sidelines, and he's over there yelling at his players to play harder, and he hadn't been around for a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't have much of an off season, retired and unretired, I don't know if I really don't think he's fully invested.
I don't think so. I think this is it.
Yeah.
And
he knows it.
As I've said all along, don't wait till it's too late and go out ugly. He's going to go out ugly.
Yes, it is.
I mean, he's going to go out ugly. and I hate to see that. Steve Wilkes has said Baker Mayfield, this was 12 minutes ago, Baker Mayfield has to earn the Panther quarterback job when he's healthy. He's not just simply giving it back to him. That's according to David Newton, ESPN.
Okay.
Covers the Panthers.
Good.
I like
Good for
that.
him.
Here's the other surprise. Falcons beat the Niners 28-14. I picked the Browns over the Patriots because now they've got another quarterback nobody's heard of that came out there and played, put 38 points up.
Oh, Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
One kid
38-15.
Western Kentucky broke all these passing records last year.
And here's another one I missed. The Jets beat the Packers. The Jets are freaking 4-2.
Yeah.
The Packers are 3-3. I did pick the Jags. I thought the Jags could beat the Colts because they've just got some issues. But Matt Ryan, 42 of 58, 389 yards and 3 touchdowns. Old Matt Ryan.
And the Colts usually beat Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But Jacksonville rushed for over 250 yards or something like that.
ETN, Travis Etienne.
And a bunch
he had
of yards.
86 for Jacksonville. Vikings beat the Dolphins. Vikings are a very good team. They're 5-1. Bengals beat the Saints 30-26. The Giants beat the Ravens. The Giants are 5-1.
That is surprising. No.
5-1. Bills beat the Chiefs. That was a great game.
It was.
I watched it after the Panthers game went off 24-20. And really, Patrick Mahomes was pushing too hard and threw that last interception.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys should have been beat worse than 26-17. It was 20-0, I think, when I went to sleep.
Yeah.
Was that halftime, 20-0?
Yeah. They cut
no,
it to
20-3.
23. When they cut it, it was at one time it was 20-0.
Mm-hmm.
They cut it to 20-17, I believe, at one point, and then
scored
again.
So
did you see the kid from Hickory, Landon Dickerson?
No, but I read about it.
Okay.
In the introduction from Viewmont Elementary.
Yeah, he said Landon Dickerson, guard, Viewmont Elementary.
That was a nice shout out.
Yeah, my principal, Jacobs Fork, taught Landon in 4th grade at Viewmont, and then he went with him to Grandview, and then he went to Grandview to Hickory High, then Hickory High to South Caldwell. But nonetheless, that's a good shout out to some of his teachers at Viewmont Elementary.
It's really nice seeing local kids do well.
Yeah, and he's a beast.
Yeah, he is. He is.
You follow Football Focus, Pro Football Focus? It is. They do a lot of stats. They have people that must look over a lot of film, and they grade everybody at all positions except kicker. Mm-hmm. And I subscribe to it, and it's only like $9.99 a month. And they rate all the players after each game. They rate all the players and everything.
And is that Collingsworth?
Yeah, it's his company.
His company.
Company. Landon Dickerson is rated in the top 10 of guards in the NFL. Kyle Duggar is rated in the top 10 of safeties in the NFL based upon what is seen on film.
Right.
Caleb Farley is doing a really good, even though he's not a starter, for the amount of snaps that they take all into account, all the snaps.
Your performance based on the amount that you played.
Yes, and he has been rated very highly for the way he's playing.
It's good.
So you got 3
players.
Yeah, you got 3 local guys.
Yeah. Milton makes a great point. He said the message got delivered to all the players. You start you bitching on the sideline about something, we're going to pack your bags.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody that's not expendable on that team.
No.
That's for sure. Richie said, might get a number 1 draft pick. Yeah, but we screw those up, Richie.
Where? Who might get a number 1?
Carolina Panthers.
The number 1 overall.
Mm-hmm. Richie said, would it be awesome if the Panthers went and raided the Buffalo coaching staff? I don't think that's going to happen. Easton that played, he moved from Georgia to Washington.
Okay.
He started at Georgia.
Transferred.
Milton says Kraft might have married his happy ending. I like that. Richie said Pro Football Focus rates both NFL and college.
I haven't. And they charge a little bit extra for the college
for the college thing. Yeah. All right. I need to take a break. Let me take a break and then we'll come back. Got a lot to talk about. College big upsets. Alabama gets beat and they're still the number 0.5 team in the nation. They're higher than number 1 because they're Alabama.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Happy Monday to you. Who's on tonight? Who plays tonight? Why can't I remember?
I don't remember either.
It'll be way past my bedtime, I'm sure. Because I'm old.
Oh, Chargers and somebody else. Seattle? No, not Seattle. L.A. Chargers and somebody.
Oh, and also, Mikey said, don't forget about Suckup. Ryan Suckup.
Yeah, him too. He had a good game yesterday. He had
Yes,
four
he
field
did.
goals. Four
Yes, he
field
did.
goals. He did. And he's a Pittsburgh native. Do you know that?
I did not.
Grew up in Pittsburgh, was born in Pittsburgh, grew up in Hickory. Parents moved down here when he was very, very young.
Milton said Tennessee's taking donations for new goalposts.
Yeah. Why don't you have those kind of goalposts where you can –
That's what Clemson does. They automatically fold.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took care of that years ago.
Quick story. I think Jack's probably still listening or watching.
Yep. And it's Denver and Chargers.
Denver and the Chargers. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
So we were at the end of the ball LR game. We get something to eat. And so we're listening to the Tennessee-Alabama game first on XM radio. So Jack has Jack Huss has his phone, and we're listening to it in the car. So we pull up at a Jersey Mike's to get our dinner. And so we go into Jersey Mike's, and we're sitting there like the old transistor radio. He has his radio on, and we're sitting there listening the whole time to the end of the game. Tennessee scored, or Alabama scored, and then Tennessee came down and scored in the closing seconds to win that game. It was just amazing to think about. We're in Wilson, North Carolina at a Jersey Mike's out in the middle of nowhere, and the telephone, your cell phone, which acts like the old-fashioned transistor radio, you can listen to a game, Alabama and Tennessee of all places.
I'll tell you a story. Friends of ours invited us to go to dinner, and we went down to is it Nellie's in Belmont? It's the Jonas Brothers. Okay. It's their grandmother. That's what it's named after. Great place to eat. They have entertainment, usually somebody on an acoustic guitar playing and singing. Great food. We're down there, and I cannot remember who Appalachian's playing. Nice dinner, atmosphere, two couples.
Was it the Carolina game this year?
No. It was an App game.
App and Carolina game.
Might have been, and my wife has her phone against her tea glass because she can't leave it alone. She has an addiction.
It was the Carolina game.
And we're just having a conversation. She's not participating. And wham, wow, did you see? What are you doing? Oh, I'm sorry. She can't leave it alone. She's not going to listen. She's got to watch it. If we're traveling somewhere, she has to pull it up on her phone and watch it. We can't just listen to the game through the radio, so I can enjoy it.
Oh, I love listening on Saturday nights to the college football games that are on the radio.
Yep.
I mean, way back when we were younger, we had the transistor radio, and you can pick up all those stations from way out of town and hear those games.
Let me give you a couple of things here before we move to college football. Chuck Bittner's going to join us in about 15 minutes. There's a lot of parity in the NFL. In the AFC North, the Ravens and Bengals are 3-3. The Browns and Steelers are 2-4. In the East, Buffalo's on top at 5-1. The Jets at 4-2, which is unbelievable. 3-3 for the Dolphins and the Patriots. In the AFC South, it's Titans 3-2, Colts 3-2, Jacksonville 2-4, Houston 1-3. In the West, it's Kansas City 4-2, Chargers 3-2, Broncos 2-3, Raiders 1-4. Then you get to the East, into the East in the National. The Eagles at 6-0, the Giants at 5-1, the Vikings at 5-1. Could the Green Bay Packers miss the playoffs?
If it were to start today or the next week, yeah, probably.
And then when you get down to the NFC South and the NFC
maybe the
West,
worst division in the NFL.
They're tied. Okay, close. The Bucs are 3-3, the Falcons 3-3, the Saints are 2-4, the Panthers are 1-5. In the West, the 49ers and the Rams and the Seahawks are 3-3. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that coming. Now the Cardinals at 2-4, yeah. The Commanders at 2-4, yes, but there are some prizes this year.
Yeah, the Giants especially. They play in the last place schedule now. They weren't good last year, so their schedule's been a little bit lighter. But still, their win yesterday, and they are playing pretty well. They got a new coach, and I was listening to New York radio.
Dabo.
Yeah, coming up here, and those New York fans are saying, "Oh, he's so great. He's gonna be here for the next 10, 20 years."
Let me ask you this question, because when I'm watching stuff like this, I am on my phone and I'm Googling when I don't know enough that I want to know. Brian Daboll.
Is that when you put your hand in the water and you're fishing for catfish? What is that called?
Noodling.
Oh, noodling. Okay.
Not Googling, noodling. I'm going to find somebody to take you noodling. You just have to make sure you don't get eat like the other hillbillies. Now I done forgot what I was going to say. I Google Brian Daboll, and hey, don't put me in spots like that. I've had a stroke. I can't keep my mind straight. Brian Daboll didn't play college football.
I didn't know that.
I don't think. I looked him up yesterday. He's only 47 years old.
Where'd he go to college?
Hang on, I'll tell you.
That school in Ohio?
He was born in Canada, in Wheeling, Canada. Went to Rochester. I guess he did play at Rochester. I don't even know what Rochester is.
That's a city in New York.
Yeah. He was a letterman and a 2-year starter on football, but University of Rochester, I don't know what that is. But when his first coaching job straight out of school, he played at St. Francis in Athol Springs, New York.
Mm-hmm.
His first was a volunteer assistant at William & Mary, then a grad assistant at Michigan State. And with 3 years coaching experience, he got hooked up with the Patriots in 2000. The part that's amazing, he is a 5-time Super Bowl championship coach.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he won 5. Or been on staff for 5.
He was the AP NFL Assistant Coach of the Year in 2020, and he was on the college football playoff national champion in 2017, which would have been Alabama. He was offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach.
Yeah, amazing that Belichick and Saban, Nick Saban, since they're so tight, they each hired him for New England and for Alabama.
And and I like him, but you don't see any standout college background. You know what I'm saying? You just don't see
just
that.
A grinder. I mean, started at the very, 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 very bottom.
He was born in Canada, raised by his grandparents in West Seneca, a suburb of Buffalo, and he was a letterman in football. Teammates there were future coach Brian Pullian and future NFL office executive Dave Caldwell that played in high school with him.
Okay.
But, that's an amazing story to me. Now, how does it work? We'll see. But he worked with Eric Mangini. He coached Chad Pennington, Kellen Clemens, Brett Favre during their tenure with New York. And he was not retained after Mangini got fired. He was not retained under Rex Ryan. And he also was at Kansas City.
I didn't know that.
Yep. His resume, Michigan State, Patriots from 2000, 2006, Jets 2007, 8, Browns 9 and 10, Dolphins in 11. Now, he was offense coordinator with the Browns, offense coordinator with the Dolphins, 2012 offense coordinator with the Chiefs. That might have been Andy Reid's first year maybe.
In 2012.
Would that be about right?
Has he been there that long?
Let's
10
see.
years? Might be.
No, Romeo Cornell was there.
Okay.
But he had worked with him. He was not retained under Andy Reid.
Okay.
Not retained under Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And then
Romeo with Belichick ties and everything.
with Charlie Weiss.
Yes.
Then back to the Patriots from 13 to 16 as a tight ends coach. He was offense coordinator at Alabama in 17, offense coordinator with the Bills from 18 to 21, and then got the job at the Giants.
Okay.
I don't know. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. He's doing a lot with a lot less than
For
what other
somebody
teams
that
have.
you've never really heard of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I first heard of him, I guess, the last couple of years with Josh Allen having such a good career with Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. Mikey said noodling or jugging. No, noodling's when you get down the water with them, Mikey, and you reach up under the bank and you let them bite you on the hand so you can pull them out.
Don't you put a glove on or
Noodling.
something?
Not if you're a real man.
You're kidding me.
Not if you're a real man.
And what's the other one? What's
Jugging. That's where you take the big plastic jugs and you tie a hook to them and you just put them in the water and they come up. And
I can do that.
yeah, I know you can, but that's not nearly as fun. You got to do the other. You got to do the other.
And this was the conversation that I had with a student of mine.
Yes.
A young lady,
Yes.
a 7th grade girl, was telling me about noodling and going coon hunting.
Yeah.
With a mama.
Yeah. 100 points, over 100 points scored in that Tennessee-Alabama game.
And no defense.
Bryce Young, 455 yards
Yeah.
passing.
Who's going to slow down Tennessee's offense? If it's not going to be out, can Georgia slow it down?
Well, you're going to find out. That's 2 teams in the East.
Yeah.
Alabama wins out. They still go to the championship game. Who's going to stop them from getting to the championship game in the West?
The way they're playing, they've been in 2 or 3 tight games already, including one loss.
I don't know who it would be. Michigan put the smack down on Penn State.
Yeah, they look like a top 4 team.
Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, because I don't think we're a national championship contender. I just do not, meaning Clemson. I would really love to see Harbaugh get one. I like him. I just do. He's old school.
He caught a lot of flack for rotating those quarterbacks early in the year in non-conference games. Mm-hmm. He settled on the quarterback, and they pounded Penn State.
Surprised TCU beat Oklahoma State 2 overtimes.
Yeah, I mean, they came way back
Yeah.
to beat them.
And I was surprised Utah beat Southern Cal.
That was a good
That's
game, too.
43-42. A lot of good ones. And I didn't have anything to do because I just lay in the hospital bed.
That Utah game, especially before the game when they came up and talked about the players that they lost, that passed away, it was a very emotional night for them, and they came back and gutsy call, that 2-point conversion to win the game at home, not in overtime now, in regulation to win the game, called 2-point conversion, and ran a quarterback draw.
How about Oklahoma beating Kansas?
Beat them pretty bad.
Yeah. Syracuse
and after
put
that
the smack
loss,
down on North Carolina State, too.
Yeah, State's in trouble without their quarterback. He's out.
I didn't realize he was out.
Yeah, he's out for the rest of the year, I believe.
Clemson has Syracuse this week.
And Syracuse?
I think it is. I know it's a noon game because we'll have it on WLON 11 o'clock airtime.
Okay.
Let's see. Any other surprises?
On the Clemson network or on the ACC radio network? What?
We carry it. We're an affiliate. WLON is.
Okay.
But I think it's on the ACC network, which is kind of surprising. That's 2 ranked teams. You would think that would be a little bit higher.
You'd think it would be on ESPN?
Let me see. Let me just look.
I'm guessing it's ESPN. That is their game going up against the noon kickoff
ABC.
on Fox. Oh, ABC. Okay.
ABC,
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
ABC, ESPN, Disney, they're all in the same pile. Yeah. Clemson number 5, Syracuse number 14. That should be a good game. 2 mules fighting over a turnip Thursday night, Georgia Tech and Virginia. Wednesday night.
Matt Rule go to Georgia Tech, do you think?
He's going somewhere.
You think?
Yes.
40-some million? He's going to
Well, he's leaving Carolina at the end of this year. Oh, wait a minute. He's already gone. Georgia State goes to App State 7:30 Wednesday night in Boone.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one, too.
App's 3-3 now.
They've kind
And
of
they're
a
getting
little hard luck.
Yeah, they're cutting. Now they're getting into the meat of their schedule in the Sun Belt Conference.
A little tough. Let's see. UCLA, Oregon. That's number 9 versus number 10. That's 3:30 on Saturday. That'll be a good one. Texas at number 20 takes on number 11, Oklahoma State. That'll be a good one at 3:30. That's interesting. UCLA and Oregon. I don't even have a network for that one. It doesn't say where that's going to be. It will be on
Fox.
I'm
thinking that's one of the late games on Fox.
Okay, well, I started to say, they don't show Fox, but they show FS2.
Or maybe it's on FS1.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's see. Who else coming up?
That's a pretty good schedule.
Marshall James Madison will be a good game. That's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, it not as much luster because James Madison lost last weekend.
Yep.
But they're still having a fantastic year, nonetheless, in their first year in the FBS.
Okay. Could Alabama pick up a second loss this weekend? Mississippi State.
At Mississippi State? It's at Alabama. Probably not.
Okay.
As much as Nick criticized the defense after their game quite a bit, I'm sure he'll have them ready at home. Now, if this is on the road, maybe different story.
Kansas State, number 17, against number 8, TCU. That's an 8 o'clock game.
TCU, they got a first-year coach, don't they? First or second-year coach?
That sounds right, yeah. Pitt at Louisville. That's on the ACC network. That's an 8 o'clock game as well. Friday games, some ugly games Thursday. Virginia at Georgia Tech. Who's going to care?
Just
Troy at South Alabama. Tulsa at Temple on Friday. UAB at Western Kentucky.
No.
There's just no interest there.
Though the quarterback at Western Kentucky is the guy that was the quarterback at West Florida that you saw, that we broadcast the game.
Where they brought all the transfers in.
Yeah, and he transferred himself out of West Florida because of COVID and moved to Western Kentucky, replacing Bailey Zappi, who's now the starter in New England. So they have an air raid offense. They throw it around perfect for this kid named Austin Reed, who's the quarterback at West Florida that we saw against Del R.
The big game coming up down the road, Michigan, Ohio State, final game of the season.
I think fans are probably waiting for it right now. I mean, they would want that game to be played tomorrow.
And that's at the Shoe. That's at the Shoe. How big is that for Harbaugh?
Well, compared to, last year when they win in Michigan in the snowstorm,
Yeah.
it would be the biggest win probably in his career.
Yeah. Let me take a break. D2 Chuck will join us. Chuck Bittner will join us, and we'll talk a little D2 football when we come back. Let me get where am I? Find all your mess, Lanny. There you go. I'm playing on 2 computers so it doesn't drag the other one down. We're back in a moment.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Monday night. Chuck Bittner's going to check in with us here shortly. We'll talk some D2 football. Talk to me about the Bears. I've had the offer and the privilege and honor to be asked to do sidelines for homecoming this weekend, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And that'll be on the Flow Network. Is that
Flow
right?
Sports Network.
Flow Sports Network.
Yeah.
That's pretty good coverage. I've watched it.
2 top 20 teams. I didn't see the ratings today. I would expect LR to go from 13 maybe up to 11, 10 at the highest. And Newberry was 19 last week, and they won. So I would guess 2 top 20 teams. More than likely, this is going to be whoever wins this game would move into the driver's seat to win the Piedmont division of the South Atlantic Conference. They split the conference into 2 divisions this year. And Newberry and LR, they've dominated the last 2 or 3 years. And this is going to be a big game.
Surprising for Newberry?
No, they won it last year.
Okay.
Made the playoffs. They upset West Florida in the playoffs. Was it West Florida? Yeah, West Florida.
They were that come and disassembled
LR. Yeah, they were the defending national champions. And
Yeah.
so and Newberry beat them last year.
Semi-pro.
Yeah, in the second round of the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, and I think their starting quarterback, all-conference performer, was hurt. And so they're trying to bounce back without him. But it's going to be something. And, Chuck's going to join us in here in a second, and I'm sure he'll be able to kind of update us on what's happening around D2 football.
Let's go to our phones and bring on Chuck Bittner, D2 Chuck. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
Happy to be with you. It's been a while. I'm doing great.
Yes, it has. Glad to have you along with us. We were just discussing, you may know what the new rankings are out in D2. We were talking about the matchup that LR's got with Newberry coming up this weekend.
Well, it's going to be a big one. It should be a top 25 matchup. In fact, I'm looking at that one as probably the game of the week around the country. There is a big one down in the state of Texas where we're going to have 2 7-0 football teams, but I have that one as kind of a one-sided affair. So I'm really looking at LR and Newberry as 2 6-1 teams as probably the game of the week, and certainly in that region of the country, it's going to be a big one.
Hey, Chuck, as you look at D2 football and the landscape this year of D2 football, I was going to throw out Valdosta State, and they've gotten knocked off 2 or 3 times already this year. Any surprises? The number 1 team got beat last week, Ferris State, that LR saw and lost to, but they lost by a point to their big rival, Grand Valley State. Give us an overview of your thoughts on the way the D2 football landscape has turned out so far this year.
Well, this past weekend was actually a fairly calm week around the top 25, with the exception of our number 1 team losing, but they lost to the number 2 team, so I can't say that was too much of a shock. But leading up to this, week to week, we have seen a lot of fluctuation in the national polls in the top 25. We've seen a ton of ranked teams losing to unranked teams, probably as much as we've ever seen before. So the bottom half of the top 25 for the last month has been very difficult to fill out. I typically do that on Sunday nights. It's been very difficult to kind of fill out that bottom half of the top 25. That said, the top 10 has been pretty stable, and I was actually very surprised today. The coaches poll that came out actually dropped Ferris State all the way to number 7. I was not expecting that. I don't think we'll see that when the D2football.com comes out probably tomorrow. I think you'll probably still see Ferris State in the top 4. So I think that was a bit of a surprise to me. But we've seen a lot of consistency in the top 10, so you kind of wonder, is there still a result out there that we're not expecting that's going to happen? Maybe it's a Delta State that gets tripped up. They still have some tough games to play. Maybe a Shepherd loses in a conference championship game. Washita Baptist still has tough games to play. So I always find this to be a really interesting time of the year, guys, because you think you know a lot. You get to week 7 and 8. You think you have a really good idea of where all these teams are, what they've done, what's still ahead of them, and you kind of lose sight of the fact that with 4 games left to play, everything can change. There is still so much that could happen that we're not even thinking about. So it's a really tricky time of the year because you reach a point where you think you've accumulated enough data that you know what's going on, and then 2 or 3 things are going to happen that just blow it all up. So it makes the last month of the season really fascinating. And I have to say, I probably picked the worst year to not be covering the SAC exclusively, because what a season in the South Atlantic Conference.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
fascinating year that we have going on there.
Yeah, splitting off into two divisions, and there have been some surprises. The new teams that have come into the league, led by Emory and Henry, they came away with a couple of wins earlier this year that surprised a whole lot of people.
Coming out of D3.
Yeah, coming up from D3. When you look at the region, in the southern region, I see a Virginia Union. You mentioned Delta State. How about Benedict? Benedict out of Columbia, South Carolina. They're undefeated. Are those teams teams to watch?
I was pretty surprised in the preseason coaches poll in the SIAC conference. Benedict was picked to finish second in their division, and that was kind of a curious pick to me because they were just a 500 team last year. They were 5-5, and not a terribly impressive 5-5. But boy, they can play some defense. They beat Albany State over the past weekend, who's the defending champion in that league, and has really been kind of the class of that conference for a couple of years. Benedict beat them on their homecoming day in front of about 12,000 people.
Wow.
So they've really got a good defense. I think if the rankings came out today, which they don't, but looking at the numbers, I think if the rankings came out today, Benedict would probably be the number one seed at this point in the season. Now, that's going to change because their next three games are against really three of the worst teams in the region, so that's going to change as we go through the next month. But I fully expect that Benedict is going to get into their conference championship game as an undefeated.
We're talking to D2 Chuck
So
Bittner. Chuck, let me ask you a question. Bob Duckworth brought up a point. We're talking about Newberry. Bob said Newberry didn't exactly wallop Catawba this weekend. As a matter of fact, they're kind of fortunate that time run out. So is Newberry a little maybe overrated?
Well, this is kind of what you get with Newberry. It's just sort of been their MO for the last several years. They have an uncanny ability to play to the level of their competition.
That's bad.
And they confuse me all the time. I think in the years I covered the SAC, one team I could just never really get a handle on, who they were and where they were going. It was Newberry, because they'd have results where they would beat a team very impressively, and then a couple weeks later they would look extremely average. Now, they are playing with a backup quarterback. Their starter, Dre Harris, who's a really, really good athlete, got dinged up a couple weeks ago. So I think that certainly has affected them. Had a lot to do with their loss at Carson Newman, which was a shock. So there's definitely some issues there. But really, with Newberry, it comes down to whether or not they can run the football. They're a running team. Mario Anderson's their best player. That's really what Lenore Ryan has to focus on trying to stop, is that running game with Mario Anderson.
And the Bears have been good on defense, coming off a shutout last week against Barton. They've been good all year in stopping the run. Anderson, as you mentioned, I think he was the SAC player, offensive player of the week this week. Do you expect the Harris kid, the quarterback, to be back this week for Newberry?
Hard to say. He did take a couple snaps last week, so we know that he at least dressed, and they tried to give it a go. So it's probably a little early in the week for us to get any intel out of Newberry. I would guess if he dressed last week, they'll probably try to give it a go this week as well. So that's really going to be a big variable, and it will make it interesting for Lenore Ryan to break down the game film, because you're really going to have to look at preparing for two, maybe even three quarterbacks, because they used a couple different guys last week. So that's going to be a challenge for Mike Jacobs and the staff to kind of break down the film and look at preparing for a couple of different quarterbacks. But again, regardless of who's back there, they're going to try to run the football. And I think if Lenore Ryan is successful at slowing down that power running game, I like the Bears' chances.
When you look at it, Chuck, you don't think about, you talk about breaking down that film defensively. You wouldn't think on a college team that you would have to prepare for a different look by changing quarterbacks, because usually in college they're pretty well established. They've got quarterbacks that they brought in to run what they want to run. In the NFL, sometimes you've got a running quarterback like a Jalen Hurts or something. You don't have anybody to back him up. But in college, is it not unusual to have different skill sets with different quarterbacks?
Well, that's really where it comes down to is, the system's not going to change. Newberry has an identity. They are who they are. But you're looking for some different cues as what that quarterback might do in certain situations. What's his tendency to go through his progressions? How effectively does he get through his progressions? Is he dumping the ball off a little bit too much in a hurry? What does his cadence look like and sound like? It's a lot of those nuances that you kind of have to look at and prepare for when you've got a different quarterback in there. And it's not really anything any different than if you go back to week 2 when Lenore Ryan played Ferris State. Ferris State's number 1 quarterback, Malik Mitchell, was injured in the opener. He didn't play in that game. We didn't really know he wasn't going to play until later in the week. So, looking at preparing for a couple of different players, and the system is what it is, but it's still going to be a little bit different when you've got a different player under center.
How are you covering D2 football now that you made the move back up to Pennsylvania this year?
Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I miss North Carolina. I love certainly when we have a big game like what you have coming up at Moretz Stadium this weekend. I certainly do miss it. But with the current technology today, it makes it so easy for me to watch as many games as I want to. I can fire up the Flow Sports app on my TV, and I can watch as many replays of SAC football or Gulf South or whoever I want to see. And for me, it's always been a priority to get out to football games. That's really why I enjoy doing this. It's getting out and experiencing all of that. So I see a lot of PSAC games. I've been to a couple Mountain East stadiums, been up to the Northeast 10. So I get out and see a lot of games. But, with the technology that we have and the good broadcasts that are available, it makes for some pretty late nights on Saturdays when I'm watching Flow Sports late Saturday night and early into Sunday morning.
You don't have your own personal airplane or anything like that? You don't charter a plane flight or anything yet?
That's a little out of the budget.
Will we see you maybe down the road, maybe for a playoff game, knock on wood?
I would certainly love to do that. I would certainly love to do that. I had looked at some options for possibly even getting down this weekend. I don't think that's going to work out for me, but yeah, playoffs are always a fun time, and of course the weather's a little bit better when you migrate a little further south. So post-Thanksgiving playoff game certainly sounds enjoyable to me. Hopefully there will be one in the SAC.
Not these next couple of days, just in case you're keeping score. We're lows in the 30s and highs in the lower 50s, so that's a little cool for this part of the country, but I'll take it.
That's not quite what I signed up for when I moved south a couple of years ago, But yes, it's still very enjoyable to watch what's going on in the SAC. It's a great league. I certainly fell in love with it and enjoyed chasing it. And boy, what a season's going on! You got 4 teams at 6-1 right now. Who could have asked for better?
Yeah.
If you want to follow Chuck, you can follow him on Twitter at D2Chuck. That's the letter D, the number 2, and Chuck Bittner. Chuck, we appreciate the time as always, my friend.
Have a great week, guys, and certainly enjoy that big game this coming Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
See you down the road.
That's Chuck Bittner. Maybe we can take him out to dinner sometime if he gets back down this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's in your budget, right?
Absolutely.
To take him out to dinner, but not to bring him down here.
I don't have the Jets tied up this weekend. I'll send it for him. One quick question before we get out of here. Jacksonville State, where Dion is. I watched the segment on him on 60 Minutes last night. And I didn't realize, I'm assuming he lost some toes to diabetes?
No, he had a blood clot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's got a nasty scar on that one leg.
Yeah, they had to perform operation where,
yeah. I wasn't sure why he had lost the toes.
Yeah, they said blood clots.
There's a lot of folks that don't like him, don't like the way he does things, but he appears to me to really care about his kids and his team.
He seemed to be very sincere. You're absolutely right.
He
was speaking from the heart.
He is who he is. But he was very sincere, I thought, in talking about the program and the kids and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
agree.
And
he said if offers come, he said, I'll listen. Don't mean I'm going to do anything, but you got to listen.
Yeah.
Are they D2?
No, they're FCS.
They're FCS.
They're FCS. I think they made it to the second round of the playoffs last year.
Okay, because I'm not familiar.
Yeah. They're in the same conference as Grambling used to be.
Okay.
And Alcorn State and some of those other schools.
Alcorn State, Air McNair?
Yeah.
Okay.
FCS schools. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you got, sir?
That is it.
Okay. All right. We're going to get out of here.
Glad you're happy and healthy, though. That's the main point.
I am who I am. That's just the way it works. I got just a couple of comments. If you want to go on our Facebook page, my Facebook page, you can find out the noodling. Bob posted a video for noodling.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. And Mike Klein said, Mike's my former coach. He's a chicken. He was my junior high coach. Said, glad to see you're doing well. Need to replace that orange jersey on the wall with one for Forrest Gregg or Sam Huff. Nope, that one stays. I got Joe D, and I got Butkus. Is that not enough?
Have there been more dogs and animals named Butkus than any other name?
Usually that's Georgia's Georgia. Uga, but
Uga.
there's some of them. Butkus is a big English bulldog name. Yeah, Butkus is. But he wanted you to check out that post is up there so you
I'll
can
do
see
it.
that.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we
Lifelong
got?
learner. I'm learning stuff about
That's- yeah.
outdoorsmen and that kind of
Well, that's
stuff.
because you ain't around here.
No.
Now, thank you, Barry. Barry said, glad to see me doing well. Chad said, now all we need is for the Yankees to lose.
Yes, sirree.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack. Good job tonight, men. I'll see you on Saturday, Jack. And Danny said, Fat said, best story of the weekend, head coach of the Falcons bought the offensive line beers in the stadium immediately after the game with the players still in uniform.
He's doing a hell of a job,
at
Arthur
the club
Smith.
at the club level bar. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Came from
That's
nowhere.
a good story, yeah.
And it's not the one that used to have the Cracker Jacks, just in case anybody's keeping score. Thank you, Ernie. Good to see you, buddy. I didn't know you was into the model airplane. You know, Ernie's into the radio
I saw
control.
that.
Big planes. That's impressive. I ain't got that kind of patience. I tried it one time. I couldn't put the planes together. You got to cover them and put them together. And nah, I like to go watch them fly. But other than that, I took up with Ernie sometimes to see that. Have a great evening, everybody. Men 4 will be back in the morning, 8 o'clock. See you then.